Star Citizen Alpha 3.19.1 should release to live almost certainly later this week. The patch mostly focuses on fixes and improvements to various gameplay, as well as addressing bugs, but it actually goes a long way to making the game a lot more stable and fun, while ironing out some other important features. Let's talk about what's in that patch, and what it's going to do for the game, and what you need to know. Star Citizen Alpha 3.19.1 paves the way for Alpha 3.20, but is also a patch that will stick around for a while. The 3.19.x patch cycle is going to be here until the end of September at the least, because we know that 3.20 is a Q3 patch. So it genuinely looks like a lot of the problems with stability, 30k, disconnects, performance, and long-running issues have been addressed, along with trying to improve the player enjoyment, the player experience in the short term with this patch. So there is no planned wipe with 3.19.1. In fact, Cloud Imperium have suggested, at least from the way I read it, that they've actually solved a load of issues with data migration and copying databases over. So after 3.19.1, it's going to be a lot easier for them to copy stuff across and have less errors with that. So hopefully no wipe with 3.20 either. However, Cloud Imperium have said that 3.19.1, when it comes out, although there's not going to be a wipe, there could be issues with the transfer of items like there were with 3.18 to 3.19. And there are a few things that you could do to help your items potentially persist beyond 3.19 to 3.19.1. So if you take an item or ship out and then store it again, that basically marks the item as there in the database. It's sort of recorded into long-term persistence. It's also good practice to, every time you reclaim your ship, sort of take it out and then store it again, potentially. Ammo, consumables, and refinery jobs are not going to be copied across, so bear that in mind. Hopefully, even if players don't do that stuff, they should have a lot of their stuff, or if not all of their stuff, copied across. And after 3.19.1, it shouldn't be as much of an issue anymore. It should copy across a lot more smoother. So, for actual content of this patch, there has been a ton of updates to Lorville's performance and its levels of detail. That updated city, much better frame rate wise now. It looks a bit better. They sort of updated the restricted areas there so you can fly around with a bit more freedom. The city looks great. Doesn't ruin your sort of system anymore to single-digit frames for the most part, although it is going to be dependent on your system. Tractor beams, they have seen updates, so they now ignore rotation when attaching mining items, gimbals, sort of salvage items and rockets and stuff. Previously, you had to move them into the correct position and rotate them, which could be unnecessarily fiddly in a lot of circumstances. There have been various tweaks to mining and scanning, which sort of scanning now accounts for active laser modifiers when you're sort of scanning rocks. So you can just scan a rock and see how the sort of likelihood of you being able to mine that with your current equipment is much more at a glance. Rock instability values are more predictable as well now, so players can better plan and react to what they want to mine and how to mine it. Breaking rocks won't constantly cause your ship damage anymore as well, so they've solved some of the problems with them sort of just damaging your ship when you break a rock. A big thing is that they've lowered insurance timers and expedite costs across the ship lineup, because it was raised in 3.19, and that was to the chagrin of many, many players. So they've lowered them, but they're not currently as low as they used to be pre-3.19. It is a good step in the right direction, though. Cloud Imperium have said that they might go even further with it, and they're constantly sort of reviewing and taking feedback on about it. There was also been an ASOP technical refactor, so the ship spawn terminals, this has had a lot of sort of back-end improvement stuff, but something a bit more tangible. Ship delivery times have now been set to 0. So this isn't the claim times. This is, we don't have to wait additional times beyond claiming, effectively, and with your initial ship delivery stuff. So they've also fixed a huge range of ASOP and ship spawning problems that have plagued the game for a while. Ships being in unknown states, ships getting randomly impounded, locked terminals, black screens, and much, much more. Various 30k issues have also been solved. Players should now be suffering from less 30k disconnects, though we won't know for sure until we actually have the live build. This is sort of true of all of this stuff. Does it hold in a live build? Cloud Imperium are trying to solve as many of the sort of stability and playability issues as possible, so the potential for less 30Ks is very credible. The character repair tool is currently enabled as well. This is a lighter weight character reset tool. It's looking like that's going to help with 3.19.1 a lot, because people are going to just have a much easier time being able to resolve various issues on their accounts by themselves with this tool. There's been a balance pass for salvage bounty and assassination missions, and AI appears to be a bit more responsive as well. Salvage missions will roughly net you 50% profit from a hull scrape. So if you hull scrape all of the hulls of an area, you'll get at least 50% profit, it seems, plus the value of any weapons, items, and cargo you also reclaim. Another relatively big one, 3.19.1 completely rebalances the ship loot cargo manifest system. So now when ships are destroyed as part of missions or NPC bounties, or they're found during missions or at salvage sites, they may have cargo on them that you can then loot. This is obviously dependent on them having a cargo hold to start with. Salvage contract ships will almost always have cargo on them if they have a hold. I think, in fact, they always will. But other ships, they have just a sort of potential to. They have removed items from this sort of manifest that can't be sold. So you only find things that you can sell. Items and commodities that can be found here are based on the mission, the area, the ship, etc. So a lot of factors feed into that. Loot value can range from 300 Alpha UEC for one SCU of sort of loot to 100,000 Alpha UEC per SCU of loot. So players are encouraged to search and loot ships after they defeat them or as part of salvage, and these rewards should be worth it, but they're not super OP. So in 3.19 originally, there was some like 200,000 Alpha UEC boxes that constantly would appear, or very often would appear. Now, that has been reduced somewhat, but it's a good range of loot now, and there's good chances of finding some relatively good loot. And the addition of being able to find loot on ships that you blow up as part of bounties or combat missions, that is pretty cool. Something that's quite interesting, and sort of just a note that I want to put here. In 3.19, bought and owned FPS weapons in racks appear to be regenerated when you reclaim a ship that they're on in the weapons rack of. So I just think that's really interesting. Now, is that a feature? Is that a bug? I'm hoping that it continues in 3.19.1. I believe you do have to actually, after you've put the weapons in the weapons racks, you do have to actually make a change to the ship loadout and then save it to actually sort of make sure it works properly. But in the future, I hope they keep this and make it less fiddly, because I think it means that people are much more likely to use their rarer, weirder weapons and bring them with them. And then when you actually loot someone that has that stuff on their ship or whatever, that's more of a prize for the looting player as well, but has less risk for the player that's been looted and all that sort of jazz. Another interesting thing I've seen in 3.19 and 3.19.1 is people using the Starfarer as a launch platform for Furies. You can basically place a Fury or Furies where the tanks were, and it will, because it's sort of in its physics grid, it will quantum travel with you. I might do a video on that later. Hope that's going to be continued in 3.19.1 and not fixed as a bug. There are a huge amount of bugs fixed though, like the NPC replication problems, the Reclaimer's elevator, in fact tons of ship-specific issues. NPCs standing on chairs and objects appears to have been fixed. Let's see if that one holds. Infinite loading and inventory issues, mining and salvage issues, loads and loads of them. MFD glitches, so the multifunction displays and cockpits sort of stuff. Lots of fixes there. Various mission-specific fixes too. A few other bits. They made improvements to thruster rotational performance and fuel usage, elevator responsiveness. Some minor ship updates were also made. It also appears to have a lot of under-the-hood responsiveness, redundancy, and database backend improvements in 3.19.1 as well. So much ironing of problems has occurred. There are still various known issues with the patch though. Hopefully only some of the more minor ones will make it through to the live build. Major issue-wise that I hope gets solved, the New Deal and Vantage rental kiosks being missing. I think that's probably quite an easy fix. I think probably be able to drop them back in game. EVAing onto Security Post Korea can insta-kill you. Not ideal if you want to do any sort of gameplay there. Players are also falling through trams. Trams disappear. Players fall to their deaths. Trams can sort of not appear on the right time, or they overlap, or they're sort of totally desynced. This is mostly issues at Area 18, but that needs to be solved. Anything that affects your actual ability to travel around the verse or get in and out of landing zones needs to be solved. 3.19.1 is the last chance to get the Pirate Aggressor badge. This is an award for Arena Commander's Pirate Swarm. This is because in 3.20, there is a new updated version of Pirate Swarm that's getting added, and a new reward for completing it. Beyond giving you a forum badge, I also believe that this allows you to purchase a Caterpillar or Gladius with a pirate skin. That's the current Pirate Aggressor badge, so if you want to get that badge, if you want to try out the current version of Pirate Swarm, or sort of beat it, whatever, give that a go. I believe you do have to complete it in multiplayer to get the badge. Some other things happening as part of the 3.19.1 cycle. Alien Week, that's coming up real soon, probably starting between the sort of 12th and 17th of June. Now, there's been some speculations of some stuff that will be in this patch, like potentially the Santok Yai Xi'an medium fighter. Lots of people online thinking it's ready for release, or that there could also be some sort of new alien ships or vehicles that Cloud Imperium might have ready for sale and going into sort of straight to flyable. Now, we do know that Santok Yai was close to being complete last time we saw it, and they're working on it at the moment, and there's also a couple of unannounced ships and vehicles that Cloud Imperium have been working on as well. So new ships are possible. We may have more 3.19.x patches as well before 3.20, because 3.20 isn't turning up until the sort of end of September at the earliest. And Cloud Imperium are keen to get persistent entity streaming and various gameplay mechanics into as good state as possible in the short term. So it's quite possible we'll see a 3.19.2 and 0.3 even before 3.20 launches later in the year. With all these improvements and updates, 3.19.1 looks to be one of the most solid patches we've had in a while. But this is all assuming that its deployment goes well. As we saw with 3.18, terrible things can go wrong, but as Cloud Imperium appear to be getting persistent entity streaming under control, it's actually looking pretty good now, at least on paper, and with my experiences on the PTU with the patch. You can probably expect Cloud Imperium to run Xenothreat and Siege of Orison at some point during the cycle, those dynamic events. The last time they ran Xenothreat, it was not the best experience in 3.18. It had a huge amount of potential, but there was a huge amount of desync and problems with that patch, which largely, or at least big portions of it, have now been solved and fixed and improved. So really looking forward to that. Boom! That's it for your video on 3.19.1 and what to expect. I am much excited and much hype for that patch. I am interested to know your expectations or worries for it. And if you've been playing 3.19.1 on the PTU, what are your experiences of that? Are you expecting alien ships to turn up during any week like the Santok Yai that you can immediately fly in-game? Do you think everything's going to explode and go wrong for 3.19.1's deployment? Or do you think it's going to be a genuinely great patch? Or is it somewhere in between? Is it going to be, it's a bit better, but, you know, there's a load of stuff that still needs to be done? What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below.
Let me tell you a story from the book of NordVPN/BoredGamer. There were 3 little pigs who all needed internet access. One used a VPN made of straw, one used a VPN made of wood, and one used NordVPN, which is basically bricks in this analogy. Along came an elite hacker wolf, and smashed up the houses of the first 2 Piggly Wigglies, but was unable to breach the NordVPN house, which is just much better than straw or wood for protecting you from internet things like wolves and hackers. The moral of this story is get nordvpn.com/boredgamer or click the links below for powerful discounts that might make your friends think you are an internet wizard or something.
Also, that wolf went to prison for 10 years on an unrelated crime. Maybe it was like not liking or subscribing or something? Every month we have a ship giveaway for June 2023. That's going to be for an RSI Constellation Andromeda. This hybrid cargo gunship is perfect for small crews of up to 4. It comes with a P-52 Merlin snub fighter as well, along with lifetime insurance and game access. All you need to start playing Star Citizen. And all you have to do to be in for a chance of winning that is comment on any of my videos made during the month. More details in the video description below. If you would like to further support the channel, please consider pressing the join button under my videos for exclusive membership to the channel, or become a Patreon. I've already got a load of lovely people that do that, and it really goes a long way in allowing us to make daily content. Thank you so much to my channel members and Patreons, but thank you so much for just liking, subscribing, commenting, and watching my videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the verse.